is it is July the 22nd, and it's Tuesday. I started to say Tuesday, July the 22nd, but yeah, same thing. But thank you so much for tuning in. If you would please bless me by hitting that thumbs up, share this video, get it out there. Please help me out. Help me out. And also, let me say this really quick for those that are watching on the replay and everybody's watching live right now. I want to say thank you so much for all your support for everything. But I have another request. If I can, maybe can we put this up here just really quick, Shannon? I just want to ask really quick, just kind of think about it. And if you do think about it, it does come across your mind. I want to be able to, I think I got it working today. I want to be able to highlight when you actually bless me if you can. So if you go to, you can see it right there, Give, Send, Go right there, givesendgo.com/studio. And my stuff is like really, 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 really old. It's more than 10 years old. It's more than 10 years old. And I'm just asking, if you find it in your heart, could you help me out? And this is not like the top of the line equipment, and it's not like some of the high name brand stuff that I need. I'm looking to just get like a switcher and some cables to hook my cameras up to. So if you find it in your heart to help me out and you want me to continue, please, by all means, givesendgo.com/studio, like you see it right there. Okay, let's get into this. Barack Hussein Obama, he spied on President Trump, on candidate Trump, completely spied on him, completely spied on candidate President Trump. And the radical leftist lunatic liberals are acting like there was no wrongdoing at all. Nothing happened at all. Now, these are the same people that want us to believe that President Trump committed all these crimes and Obama did nothing. Obama, they want us to believe as well that he had a scandalous administration. Some people, and I've mentioned this multiple times before, they said that Obama's administration was the first administration in American history to go scandal-free. And now we're finding out, well, most of us already knew this, but some people that never paid attention to any of this, now they are finding out that Obama, he was the most corrupt, one of the most corrupt next to Joe Biden. And I think with the auto pen was pretty bad, but I think Obama takes the cake because a whole fake Russia collusion delusion. That's never happened before. Have they ever, Shannon, let me ask you a question. Do you ever recall, and I think I have it where we can put the comments on the screen. Have you ever recalled, Shannon, where you had Democrats, where you had these Democrats doing all this radical stuff? And have you ever seen it where they said that a Republican or any president has ever colluded with Russia? Have you ever seen it before? I don't ever recall them ever saying that they even colluded with China or anybody. I'm not saying that they didn't.
Right.
But have they ever?
You're right. I think that was the first time in history. You know, and how clever it was, because it literally made people go, wow, Russia, Russia, Russia. You know, I mean, you know what? And for them to sit there and say, oh, this is, you know, Russia is always meddling in our election. Well, all big countries, including America, has meddled in other people's election. That was no new news, but it was to present it to the American people the way it was presented, all to make it look like Trump was what did Hillary Clinton call him? He wasn't a real elected president.
Illegitimate.
Thank you for that word.
Yeah. Illegitimate president is what they were trying to call him. They were calling him illegitimate president. And it's pretty ridiculous, actually. But you know, no one is surprised by it. Okay. I think I got it, Shannon. Yep, there they are. I think we got it here. And so I was working on this yesterday and you see I got a little creative right here. But I was working on this yesterday, and I wanted this to look, more decent. I wanted to look like, where the comments are coming through. Which ones do you see on there, Shannon? You see YouTube? There's Rumble. YouTube should be coming in right now. So if you're on YouTube, leave me some comments. And we should be able to see the Facebook come in here too. Let me make sure. Let me get it in here. And then I got something. Let me get to some of this stuff because I really want you to see this. All right. I think we can get the Facebook to come in here. I think so. All right. All right. Is the Facebook showing up too? It should be. Okay. Well, I think we just probably give it a couple minutes here. Let it all catch up here. Okay. Let me get to some of this other stuff that's more important than me just working on that. Remember back in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 19, 20, 22, 21, 23, 24, even up to now, they were all kicking and screaming and saying that President Trump colluded with Russia. Did you know even today, if you talk to some of these liberals, even today, they're still kicking and screaming saying that President Trump colluded with Russia? Which we talked about it yesterday, and come to find out, Obama, he found out that none of it was true, but he still pushed it. And the reason why he pushed it is because he wanted to try to take out President Trump. At the time, candidate Trump. He didn't want candidate Trump coming into play. He didn't want President Trump coming in. You know, they would have been better off if they would just left President Trump alone. Instead of doing all this criminal activity, this fraudulent stuff, they would have been better off just saying, you know what, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. But they couldn't help themselves. And Hillary Rodham Clinton, she was so bitter that she lost. Now, I don't know if the dossier, if she funded the dossier after the November election in 2016 or before. I'm assuming that she did it after because she was so bitter that she did the whole dossier. She funded it. Obama knew about it. Obama proceeded with it. And they did this to try to discredit President Trump and try to eliminate him from becoming president, being sworn in 2017. Well, I want to share this with you. This is Jake the Snake back in January the 9th of 2018. Listen to what he's saying about the dossier. All of them kept pushing it. And this is the same Jake the Snake today that wrote his book about Joe Biden's administration, saying that Joe Biden didn't know where he was going. Joe Biden had to have tape on the floor to direct him. It was yellow fluorescent tape to direct Joe Biden on the floor. He put this in his book. He talked bad about Joe Biden, and they all are upset with him right now. But I want y'all to listen to what he was saying when he was lying, just like the rest of them in the liberal media news.
But breaking news in our politics lead, CNN is now learning that Christopher Steele, the British spy who authored the Trump-Russia dossier, alerted the FBI in July 2016 because he was so concerned then candidate Donald Trump may have been vulnerable to blackmail. What's your reaction to that?
So we've got a couple of examples now of genuine friends of the United States, members of the Five Eyes Alliance, an Australian ambassador and a retiree from Britain's MI6, having concerns about the well-being of American democracy. And they followed their conscience and made their concerns known to the appropriate organs of the United States government. That's about as far from a political motivation as you can get.
Devin Nunes, in his public comments and some of the other comments we've seen, seems to be that the officials in the FBI who were seeking a FISA warrant against Carter Page relied too much on a political document, the Christopher Steele dossier.
No, I don't know that the dossier played in this very much at all. However, some of what was in the dossier was corroborated in our intelligence community assessment, which was derived from other sources of information in which we had high confidence.
Donald Trump is still calling this witch hunt, okay?
Yeah. They've caught a few witches, by the way.
They have.
There have been a few witch indictments.
Giuliani great lawyer. He has said that the whole investigation at this point has become absurd.
You see that? They were lying. Okay, I got to stop it here because I'm just being told that President Trump is live. And we're going to go to President Trump live. All right. Yep. Here he is.
And mental institutions, insane asylums. Many of them are very sick. 21 million, probably 25 million, probably even more than that. And we're getting them out. Many were murderers, as I said. They killed people. Many killed more than one person. Stone cold murders. I don't understand why they would have allowed that. There's only two reasons to vote. Is there one voters? It's one reason. I don't think they would have done it for that because they cheat. You know, they're so good at cheating, they don't need that. But the vote, and the second reason is they hate our country. I think they hate our country. I actually do. And it's the biggest problem. I mean, much of our time is spent with, you know, we have the strongest border anywhere in the world now. Maybe even stronger than your border, if you can believe it. We have no people came in last month, zero, which is pretty amazing. I'm not even sure I can believe that. But liberals are the ones that do that calculation. So, but we had no people come in. A year ago, we had hundreds of thousands of people come in. Hundreds of thousands of people. And they flowed in. And if it wasn't for the election, it would have been millions of people came in last year. So millions of people prior to election time, they allowed millions and millions of people to come into our, I mean, you saw it. They'd open the gates. If you took an Alabama-LSU football game that holds 128,000 people, I was there, 128,000 people, and I liked them and they liked me. But if you took that and doubled it, that's what used to flow into our country on a daily basis. It's not even believable. And we're getting them out, and we're starting with the worst ones. And we had a man shot yesterday, a police officer who was a great gentleman, shot right here in the throat. Probably won't be able to speak again. But he was brave, and he shot the other guy, and they ended up getting him. And you saw the scene where his friend took him to a hospital and dumped him down on the sidewalk. The whole thing was crazy. But why would anybody do to our country what these Democrats have done? And honestly, we can never forget it. We can never forget it. What they have done, the damage that they've done to America is very, very sad. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, so I was in there watching President Trump. I didn't know he was going to cut it that short. But nonetheless, okay. Let me go back to this, some more of this Russia collusion. I want to finish playing what I was playing right before we went with them talking about this dossier, the fake dossier.
Giuliani, great lawyer. He has said that the whole investigation at this point has become absurd. It's absurd. Is it absurd?
No.
We broke the story of the existence of the dossier that President Trump had been briefed, and we did not mention any of the contents of the dossier. CNN. But there's the FBI director talking about prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow. It was almost exactly 2 years ago that CNN reported that President Trump had been briefed on the intelligence community's assessment of Russian interference in the 2016 election, including the existence of the Steele dossier. And despite the president's fierce denial, CNN's chief national security correspondent Jim Sciutto reports that the special counsel's team has already proven some of the claims in that dossier are true.
You know, we go back and I look at this stuff going back, and I'm glad we have the internet. I'm glad the invention of the internet was created so we can go back and look at this stuff. And we can see how they were all lying. Every last one of them lying about the dossier. They lied about President Trump. And if you look at it now, if you look at it today, the Democrats today, they're not bringing up the fact that they were saying that President Trump was directly colluding with Putin, with Russia. You know how they spin it now, Shannon? They say that Russia meddled in our elections. That's what they're saying. They're not bringing it up saying, well, you know, there was proof. There was evidence of President Trump actually colluding with Russia. They're not saying that.
Yeah. They're
saying, again, I'm going to repeat it one more time. They are saying that President Trump's, the whole thing was that Russia colluded, not necessarily colluded, but Russia hacked the DNC. Russia was meddling in our election, which is nothing new.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
It's absolutely nothing new.
Nothing new. They've been doing it for decades. We do it, in fact. But see, that's what they do. They twist the information just enough to get people like, you know, that don't normally know that there's other countries meddling in our elections. They're like, oh, they're meddling in our elections? You know? And now they're just going to link meddling in our election with Russia with President Trump, just because the Democrats have been so good about interweaving Russia and Trump, because they say Russia is one of our biggest, our biggest enemies. And so is Trump. So if you weave them together, it's like we can't have two of these huge, people threatening America. I mean, they're so manipulative, Will. And I'm so glad this information is coming out. I can't wait to see what more they have.
Yeah, same here. Now, I just noticed that someone said really quick, Shannon, that on Peel.net, I'm sending the feed to Peel.net, but for some reason it's not coming in. So I can only imagine that Peel.net right now is having some technical issues, because I can see we're live on Rumble. And let me go over to YouTube real quick. We should be live on YouTube. I'm going to double check this really quick. Yep, I see it we're live on YouTube. So I'm pushing I'm pushing the same source out, the same feed. So I'm not sure why it's not showing up on Peel.net. I'll talk to the Peel.net team when I get off of here.
It's just like rotating and has like an X and keeps blinking. So it seems like a problem on their end.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is. So, and I see Ann. Thank you so much, Ann, for the Facebook stars. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. So I'll reach out to him and see what's up. But thank you so much for letting me know. Thank you so much for letting me know. Okay. John Brennan, James Comey, the radical leftist lunatics, all of them. They're, when they found out, when it started coming out that Obama knew about the dossier and Obama gave the order, and all these videos started coming back to service where John Brennan was saying, yeah, Obama, he was there. Apparently, Shannon, there was a meeting that took place before all of it went down with Obama
on December 6th,
with Brennan, Clapper, Comey, all of these people involved with the whole dossier, the Russia collusion delusion.
Or I'm sorry, December 9th of 2016, they're saying.
All of it, there was a meeting. And then all of a sudden this came about. And Obama, he wanted everyone to believe that he had nothing to do with it. He didn't even know what was going on. And now it's coming to the surface. Now, I put a comment on Facebook earlier, or last night, actually. I put a comment on Facebook and I just said, where's Obama? With some eyeballs up under it. And of course, a lot of people started chiming in. Some people saying that Obama's in protective custody, or Obama's on the run. Obama's running scared. You know what? When they put President Trump in handcuffs, I think they opened it up to allow Obama to be put in handcuffs. Would y'all like to see Obama in handcuffs? Would y'all like to see that? I mean, personally, I would like to see them put Obama in handcuffs. Because they took a mugshot of President Trump. Now, they didn't put President Trump in handcuffs, but they should put Obama in handcuffs, because here we actually have a crime that was committed. With President Trump, they were making it up. And it was all election interference, because they were trying to get President Trump to not be able to win the 2024 election. You know, they had to have known that they were scared that President Trump was going to bring all this information out. And then it even goes back to the intelligence community where you have Tulsi Gabbard, where she's releasing this information, and there's actually some congressmen, and I think congressmen and congresswomen, that's actually trying to convince Tulsi Gabbard to stop releasing these documents. And some of them even call themselves Republicans. See, when they arrested President Trump and they took that mugshot of President Trump, the gloves came off. There's no more saying, well, this is a president, a former president. The stuff is in the past. You can't do anything about it. No, they didn't do that. With President Trump, they wanted to put him, what was it, Rikers Island? Is that what they call it? They wanted to put President Trump in Rikers Island. You see, they're not saying anything about Rikers Island right now. Maybe President Trump should send some of the illegal criminals to Rikers Island as well. Why not? Send them to Alligator, Alcatraz, and send them to Rikers Island. Send them to both locations. They probably are. The Democrats should just focus on Alligator, Alcatraz right now because of all those beautiful alligators. They're focused on it. All right, so yeah, Shannon, we do have the comments. I do have the comments somewhat working. Yeah, I see we got YouTube in there and Rumble. For some reason, the Facebook's not showing up. All right, maybe Facebook should be showing up. I'm not sure why it's not. I mean, I just put a comment in there. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, it was really weird. But anyways, I'm going to move on. But thank you so much for leaving comments. I love this right here. So when y'all leave the comments, I can highlight the comments too. I can highlight your comments. So I'll most definitely do that if I can see it. And if I can, I'll try to get, I don't know why the Facebook is not showing up. It should be showing up. I will work on that. I promise I will work on that. Well, let me play this one. This was Laura Ingraham talking about Obama and all this corruption. Man, can you imagine what it would be like to see Obama get arrested? I mean, I'm just telling you. Because he's a criminal. Listen.
We knew this was filled with corrupt intentions, and these findings were probably skewed. Victor, this really isn't surprising to us, but tell me your reaction to what we've now learned, given what Tulsi Gabbard has declassified and these two different criminal referrals, one from the CIA director and one from the director of the DNI.
Well, I think it's pretty clear they're going to have written evidence and probably testimonials from these so-called great intelligence authorities at the level below Clapper and Brennan. And that's going to be damning. And the only mystery, Laura, is whether Barack Obama will say that Clapper and Brennan overread the assessment and misled him, or whether Clapper and Brennan say that Obama misled them. But otherwise, everything is pretty clear. The other problem is none of these people have any credibility. James Comey pled ignorance, amnesia 245 times under oath to this House Intelligence Committee. He leaked a confidential conversation with Donald Trump that he memorialized to the New York Times via a third party. Clapper, remember, he lied under oath to Congress, and he said that the NSA did not spy on people. Then when he was caught, he said it was the least untruthful answer he could give. Brennan lied twice. He said that the NSA didn't spy on people, lie. He said that the CIA didn't tap in to Senate staffer computers. That was a lie. Both of them were co-architects, let's not forget, of the 51 intelligence authorities. So you could really say as a historian, a historical period, they affected the outcome one way or the other of the 2016 election and maybe the 2020, because they leaked that false narrative of Donald Trump colluding with the Russians to manufacture Hunter's laptop right before the second debate and to arm Joe Biden to go in there and lie to the American people that his son's laptop was a product of Russian and Trump collusion. So they've got a long record of no credibility, and I don't think they're going to be convincing in any excuse or apology they give.
You know, one of the biggest things that comes to my mind, and I hope doesn't become the case, is that we've talked about the corruption for all of these years, ever since they brought up the whole Russia collusion delusion. We talked about it. We knew that it was fake. What Mueller, 40 plus $1 million later, just for him to come out and say, yes, there's evidence that Russia did meddle in our elections, but there's no evidence that President Trump directly colluded with Putin, with Russia. There's no evidence of it. There was never any evidence of it. That was the whole gist about the whole dossier, the whole Russia collusion, the whole going after Trump, that he directly worked with Russia because they couldn't understand it. The elites could not comprehend why they lost in 2016. They said there's no way that the American people actually voted for President Trump. There's no way. They're like, we got this in the bag. The establishment has been controlling our election systems for I don't even know how long, before I was born, I'm sure. The establishment's been controlling it. The Bushes, the Clintons, right? They controlled all of it. And then came President Trump going up against Hillary Rodham Clinton. They were like, this is a no-brainer. There's no way that President Trump is going to beat out Hillary Rodham Clinton. There's no way. They were all saying it. And they were even showing the polls in 2016. Y'all remember that? They said they had President Trump down like maybe 30%, 33%, and had Hillary Rodham Clinton at 98% for winning that election. And then the American people said, hold up. Just because you're trying to tell us that she's going to win doesn't mean that's who we want. We, the people, get to decide, not you elites. And then when we decided in 2016, they couldn't comprehend it. They're like, what just happened? What just happened? I'm like, this is not supposed to happen. Hillary Clinton was like, I got it in the bag.
You know, and listening to him, he's saying that all these people, you know, lied under oath. That's the very least of the charges that these people deserve, is lying under oath. I mean, how many people have we actually arrested and given sentences for, or had some kind of penalty for lying under oath? It seems like there's a whole lot of people that have gotten away with it for far too long. And I think they need to start holding some of these people accountable, at least for that. I mean, of course, far more deserves to be done to these people, but you can't tell me they don't deserve any charges, right? I mean, you can't tell us that.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There shouldn't, I mean, none, no charges, none at all. These people are corrupt. They're 100% corrupt. Okay, here's another one I want to share with you. But before we go to this next one that I want to share with you, I got to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Life can be pretty unpredictable, filled with good days and not so good days. And sometimes the only difference between the two is your level of preparedness. The Jace case lets you be better prepared for whatever comes your way. It contains antibiotics and other prescription medications so that you aren't caught unprepared. With a Jace case, you are able to get your prescription medication before the unpredictable happens, allowing you to turn those not so good days into great ones. Go to Jace.com now and get your own Jace case.
Oh, hold on. Before we play this video, I want to show this Jace case at Jace.com, and you can see it right here in the lower third, right there. If you use promo code WILL, you get a discount. Okay. You see right there, you get a discount right there. Use promo code WILL. I'm going to show what was going on there. Jace.com. Use promo code WILL. And this is really amazing. It's amazing. This is one, I don't know if you can put the website up there or not, Shannon, but this case is specifically made for me. There's penicillin in here, and you actually can talk to a doctor, and they will customize for your medications that you need. And the reason why I have this one for like emergency, because I don't know when it's all going to hit the fan. And I'm expecting the Democrats right now. I'm expecting them right now to activate their sleeper cells, especially when they make their first arrest. And I think I'm going to go on a limb here and say the arrest is on its way. And when they do arrest one of these tyrannical Democrats, that's when they're going to probably activate their sleeper cells. And it's going to get really crazy in the country. I hope that's not the case. I don't want it to be the case, but I got a bad feeling that it's gonna happen. Good feeling that someone's going to get arrested. Bad feeling that the Democrats are going to activate their sleeper cells. So go to Jace.com. Jace.com. Use promo code Will.
Yeah.
You will get a great discount. You will love the product.
Let me just say what's in it. It has 10 medications. 5 are life-saving antibiotics, and 5 are vital symptom relief meds. It treats over 50 infections. You can add, there's 28 add-on medications, if you have diabetes or some kind of special things that you can add on to there. But these are emergency kits. If the pharmacy shut down, let's say you're on a road trip, on a vacation, you need some emergency medications, you can't get to a doctor. That's what this case is for. You do get a prescription from a pharmacist.
Yep.
So check it out.
Yep. And there's 2 pockets in here. And I never opened up the bottom one here, but there's more in here. Right? And you can add more in here. There's so much space in here. And I think this is a triple biotic ointment right here.
Yeah, and they give you little cards. There's cards at the front of it that tell you what each prescription is used for. And then, of course, there is a number that you can always call. But it gives you all the rundown of each prescription.
Yep, and right here, these cards, and they come on a little tag right here to tell you what they are. And I think, so there's other cards in here too. That's not on the tags. But I think when they give you your bag, when you go to Jace.com, they put the ones that you have on the clip. So there's no mistaking. You can, which ones do I have here? Which ones are they? And it give you information about each one of them. I thought that was pretty awesome. So they put some thought into it, a lot of thought into this, so that people would know exactly what they're getting when you talk to an actual physician, actual pharmacist. So Jace.com, everyone, Jace.com. Okay. Now, the reason why I truly believe that some arrests are about to happen, they're going to come, because the whole debacle of what happened with the Epstein files. See, the Epstein files, President Trump, he campaigned on it. A lot of people were upset with President Trump because he says, we're still talking about that. We're still talking about that. Let it go. Let it go. And a lot of Americans are like, what do you mean, let it go? You even campaigned on it. Well, now we are kicking and screaming, saying, well, you got to give us something, right? I've said this. I said, you know what? When I got back to I started looking at this, and I said, Pam Bunny, I said, yeah. But they need to give us something. Because of all of the wrongdoing that's been taking place, you got to give us something. And how could you not, President Trump? After all of the crap that they did, President Trump, what they put him through, how could you not? And this is not being vengeful. This is not being vengeful at all. You know what this is about? This is about doing the right thing. That's what this is about. Doing the right thing for the American people. You have to, President Trump. And I don't know if anyone else was saying it, but I think I might have been one of the first ones to say that if President Trump, if they don't arrest these people for the stuff that they've done in the past, the next time they take control, it's going to be full on communist tyranny on the American people. Well, listen to Mike Johnson. Now, I know a lot of people have their reservations about Mike Johnson. So do I. He kind of reminds me of McCarthy. I used to call Kevin McCarthy sometimes McCarthy, because sometimes he was with the Republicans, but most of the time he was with the Democrats. But here lately, Mike Johnson has been on point. Okay, he's been on point. I think what it is, a lot of Republicans get up on Capitol Hill and they don't understand that they need to get something done. When President Trump is doing that. So it's like President Trump is like making them get out of their comfort zone. But anyways, listen to what Mike Johnson says in this interview. Leads me to believe, saying, you know what? Shouldn't have broken the law. And the guy that's interviewing him said, well, do you think Obama's going to be, I'm going to paraphrase it here because I don't remember exactly how he said it. You're going to hear it here in a second. Do you think Obama, is comfortable with you bringing this information up about him and the corruption that he's done? Are you okay with that? And I love Mike Johnson's response. I might just have to stop it just so you can make sure you catch it. But watch.
What Tulsi Gabbard has done, the DNI chief, declassifying hundreds of documents that seem to suggest that manufactured intelligence was at play here with the Obama administration regarding this Russian collusion hoax. I've heard Stephen Miller call it a seditious conspiracy. I've heard Tulsi Gabbard call it a treasonous conspiracy. You're a constitutional guy. What do you see in this exactly? How do you term it?
I don't know how to summarize it by way of description in a snappy phrase, but I will tell you it is deeply problematic. And before I became Speaker of the House, I served on the House Judiciary Committee, which had jurisdiction over a lot of this. And we knew what was happening. We knew intuitively, and we were gathering the evidence as we were investigating all of this ourselves. We knew the Russia collusion thing was a hoax. They used it as a basis to attack the president mercilessly. I served on his impeachment defense teams twice. That would be unheard of in history, that a president would be impeached twice on such spurless claims. But in those processes, as we were preparing for those defenses, as we were investigating with our oversight responsibility in judiciary, we recognized that the people who are being called out now were involved in a scheme. We knew that it was a shameless, false set of accusations, and yet they perpetuated the lie on the American people, and they looked right into the camera and just lied, clearly. And they knew what they were up to the whole time. So there must be accountability for that, because what it does ultimately, the greatest threat of all this is not just what they've done to President Trump as an individual, it's what they're doing to the institutions, even broader than that. They have diminished the people's faith in our system of justice itself, in the institution of the Department of Justice, in the institution of the FBI. And those are critical functions that are played in a constitutional republic. And so we're in the process of restoring trust and rebuilding the people's belief in our system of justice itself. And it's an extraordinary challenge that was brought about because people were involved in a sinister plot. And so there must be accountability.
People were involved in a sinister plot, and people need to be held accountable. Now, what I was just telling you, y'all got to listen to this. You got to listen to what's said right here. Here's the biggest catch of the reason why I say it looks like Obama's about to end up in some orange because of what Mike Johnson's response to his questions about Obama.
Say there must be accountability. The DOJ will work on the criminal aspect of this. What's the role of the House here specifically? I mean, people want to see subpoenas, they want to see depositions, they want to see whether it be Brennan, Clapper, potentially the former president of the United States. Are you willing to go down that route? Because a lot of people want to see some of these folks questioned under oath.
Of course. Look, I think we have a responsibility to follow the truth where it leads and to do it in an unbiased fashion, to do effectively the opposite of what that other team did. They're engaged in a partisan political plot to take down their foe and the other party. We need to be about the rule of law and bringing order to the chaos and searching out the truth, because the American people are owed those answers. So we have some very bright, very capable, very strong leaders at Judiciary and Oversight, Chairman Jim Jordan, Chairman Jamie Comer, and the other committees that would be involved. And I do expect that whether there's a special counsel appointed, which some are suggesting, and or in conjunction with the House investigations, that we will get the answers, and there will be accountability to the extent that we're able to do that, referring people to the DOJ for prosecution and any other measure that is appropriate as we begin to uncover more of the facts.
Does it get tricky at all with the former president, President Obama, looking at what his role in this is and bringing him in for some sort of deposition, potential subpoena?
Well, listen, we have no concern about that. If it's uncomfortable for him, he shouldn't have been involved in overseeing this.
Oh, right there. Right there. That, for me, that is like the biggest point of this whole thing. If Obama's not comfortable, where he shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. It's like someone go robs a bank and then you go arrest the robber and say, well, the robber might not feel comfortable, with you putting him in jail. Well, maybe he shouldn't have robbed the bank. Or an illegal alien comes into the country and do horrible things to women and children and even men. But then they apprehend him and put him in alligator Alcatraz and be like, oh my goodness, the conditions are terrible. Well, maybe they shouldn't have came into the country doing terrible things. Same thing with Obama. See, they never in a million years thought this would ever come to the light of day. It's like there's no way it's going to come to the light of day. Let me just play that last part one more time for those of y'all that just missed that. Listen to this. Let me make sure I get it right here.
Appropriate as we begin to uncover more of the facts.
Does it get tricky at all with the former president, President Obama, looking at what his role in this is and bringing him in for some sort of deposition, potential subpoena?
Well, listen, I mean, we have no concern about that. If it's uncomfortable for him, he shouldn't have been involved in overseeing this, which is what it appears to us has happened. There's a lot of allegations on the table. Our job is to go and follow each of those trails and to find out the truth. So those are very serious allegations with very serious implications, but we're going to have very serious people working on it, and we will get the answers.
Now, with that, look, again, I'm hoping that this is not just a whole bunch of talk, because what I've experienced or what I've noticed is that when the Democrats, they will make up lies, they will make up allegations, they will make up crime, and then they will go after political opponents, aka President Trump. They will even go as far as getting a beautiful mugshot of President Trump for the crimes. They will take President Trump and try him from a crime that no one has ever been tried on in New York to try to bankrupt him. The Democrats will even go as far as trying to remove a candidate off the ballots because they don't want him. They will lie, bring up allegations, women, everything, you name it. Never in the history of this country have they ever raided a former president's home, but yet they raided President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. None of this stuff has ever happened, and if we all saw it happen, see, the Democrats, they will go after. They will attack. They will even convince people to go on the streets of America and try to burn the country down. They will do that. But Republicans, you know what Republicans do? Look, we want to be the rule of law. We want to make sure that people do the right thing. And this is Republicans, okay? Republicans, we want to look, we want everybody to get along. We don't want any animosity. We just want bygones to be bygones. Just let's let it go. Let's move forward, everybody. And see, right now, that's what the Democrats are saying. The Democrats are telling the Republicans, look, we need the old Republican to come back, the Republican Party. We need the original Republican Party to come back so we can just move forward. Right? All of this stuff with Joe Biden and Obama, that's water under the bridge, the stuff in the past. We need to move forward. Because, what made me think about that is when Joe Biden's cognitive abilities, when they started talking about Joe Biden and him losing his mind. And they said, but you know what? His doctor and all of that. We just need to move forward. Wow. Were you going to say something, Shannon? Did you want to add to that?
Well, I was just going to say it's interesting because the Democrats, I don't know if you heard this, but I've been reading that the Democrats have been having some meetings. And they've been having some hour-long closed door meetings. And the thing is they're talking about, what their plan is next. So the rumor is the next plan that they're going to have is that they're going to stop the funding bill. The funding is coming up, right?
Yeah.
Here pretty soon. They're going to, because October they have to pass a budget bill. Lately they've been doing, what do you call it? They've been doing what do you call them? They do this continuation bills.
Yes.
Well, now they want to do a budget bill, and they're going to say that they're going to ask for a whole bunch of stuff. They're going to hold it up. They said they're not making any more recessions to the Republican Party. They're sick and tired of it. So I think that's one of their next plans, is just to hold it up and say, oh, the Republicans can't pass a budget bill. I mean, I think that's one of the things they're going to do.
Well, of course, because they're also in this budget bill that's coming up, what they call it, the what did it say, the fiscal bill, right? Well, they are going to prevent the Republicans. This is because I think, who was it? I think it was Eric Swalwell. They were saying that they have control, where they can not allow the budget to go through. And then they brought up unmasking ICE agents. And then, of course, we already know why they want the ICE agents unmasked, so they can go and dox them, so they can go and do terrible things to them and their family to get them to stop from deporting their base, for the census report and all of that. That's the reason why they're doing that. But yeah, you're right, Shannon. That's what they're talking about. And they want to do away with Republicans having any capability of doing the right thing. And again, to elaborate again.
I mean, they want to obstruct.
Yeah, they want to obstruct. But again, I think part of it is that the Democrats have never had to do this much obstruction. And the reason being is because the Republicans in the past would allow the Democrats to do it. Does that make sense? The Democrats would, because it was establishment. Same bird, two wings on the same bird. We've heard that expression so much. And that's exactly what it is. But it's the establishment bird that they're talking about. And then here comes President Trump. He jumps on that bird. And he's flying that bird around, and they don't like the direction that President Trump is taking this bird, which is the United States of America. President Trump is doing positive things, and these evil, wicked people are trying to just destroy it, which I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make a lick of sense. Well, I want to play another one for you, but this was on Fox News, talking about Tulsi Gabbard, talking about Obama, talking about the Democrats with the whole dossier, the Russia collusion delusion again. This is extremely important that people please share this video. Please share this video.
I think about the fact that in our lifetime, John, there's only been one president who didn't leave Washington, D.C. after they were done serving their 8 years, and that was President Obama. He stayed there, and then his people were ready, and they put Joe Biden in knowing that they could accomplish what they wanted, which was to keep quiet some of the things that they had done while in power. When Joe Biden came in, it was easy to see that they put in Obama's people into key positions in order to continue the ability to cover what Obama had done. I think that's now. We are much more aware. I think President Trump came in, a bit naive the first term, just wanting to make America better than it had been. I think he came in very differently this time around. And this referral is serious, and the Department of Justice is going to have to pick now who among them is going to lead the investigation and the prosecution of those that were involved in this conspiracy.
Yep. And I don't know if y'all just saw that. I put the comment down at the bottom. Actions louder than words. Yep, get it done. Actions are louder than words. Get her done. Get her done. I'm gonna be upset if they don't arrest somebody. I think for me, I'm going to be upset because they put us through so much crap. And even though they're directly doing this to President Trump, this is still doing it to us, because if they were successful on preventing our great president, Donald J. Trump, from going back into the White House, if they were successful in that, do you know what this country would look like right now? Can you imagine? Oh, we dodged a bullet. This last one. But you had the establishment Republicans again, and you had the establishment Democrats and the socialist communist Democrats, and they're all trying to do everything they can to stop President Trump from getting where he is right now, because they knew very well that he was going to be doing what he was doing. Let me ask y'all a question. Where's Obama? Where's Obama at right now? Anyone know the answer to that? Where is Obama? Because just the other day, Obama came out and he was telling the Democrats, hey, y'all got to fight. Y'all got to fight. You need to stop going into the fetal position. You need to get out and fight. And see, what I was hearing from Obama, that he's actually calling for people to be violent. Because Democrats don't know anything else other than violence. They believe they have to be violent towards us to get anything done. Well, I want y'all to listen to General Flynn. General Flynn, I heard him last week was saying that the passports, the private planes, all of these corrupt people that were involved in this corruption, their passports should be revoked. They should not be able to get on private planes. And as far as I know, Obama could be out of the country. He could be back in Kenya. I don't even know if they extradite back to the United States of America. Wouldn't that be something to see? That Obama runs to a country, Kenya. All right, y'all know why I'm saying Kenya, right? He runs to Kenya, then he gets extradited back to the United States of America in handcuffs. Oh, dude, I'll pay money for that. But listen to General Flynn.
Was Mike Pence possibly involved in this?
Yeah, and if you read, I lay this out in my book as well.
Okay.
Mike Pence, was he a dupe? Was he unwitting? Mike Pence was used, no doubt, because there's another piece of evidence that I'm waiting to see come out. And I've asked, and I basically demanded that it comes out. And we know this is a really critical piece of evidence. Sally Yates and Mary McCord, who was head of the National Security Division for the Department of Justice, Sally Yates was the acting attorney general, went over to the White House like 2 or 3 days prior to me having to be resigned and me being fired on the 13th of February, I think it was the date. So Mike Pence, Reince Priebus are in the Situation Room in the White House, and Mary McCord, Andy McCabe is the other name, and Sally Yates was the third name that came and briefed Mike Pence on a document. And Mike Pence he had Reince Priebus call me up while they were all together, and he said, "I just reviewed this document. The document shows that you talked about sanctions, something I never talked about ever. I never talked to Mike Pence about them. I never talked about them with anybody. Never talked to the Russian ambassador about sanctions. Mike Pence told me that he just saw a document where I discussed sanctions. So that document is either a lie or Mike Pence was lying. Somebody somewhere in between. What I believe is that Mike Pence, I believe that part of their effort was to try to figure out a way, because later on we now know from other cases that came out as well as mine that there was a 25th Amendment that was going to be put on the table further down the road. So this was an effort to get rid of Donald J. Trump. Now, somebody's going to have to ask Mike Pence. Now, I will tell you, Eric, not a big fan, never was a fan. I would have served with him, no problem. And did. I was very honest with Mike Pence in the interactions that we had. So somebody's going to have to ask Mike Pence, because I have not heard from Mike Pence.
I hope.
Mike Pence. You can take it off the screen. Mike Pence, total weasel, total snake. Total weasel, total snake. He's Judas Pence, is what I call him. Judas Pence. Anyone disagree with me? Does anyone disagree with me? I mean, that's what I called him, Judas Pence. What do you think, Shannon? Is that appropriate for him, Judas Pence?
For sure. I mean, you know what? It's so funny because, Trump somewhat trusted him, but you could tell that about halfway through or towards the end, the only mission that he gave Pence was COVID. If you remember, he was the one that was over COVID.
Yeah, I remember that.
And what a botch that was.
I remember
right?
that.
And then he shut things down. He let Fauci get away with things. I think, if you look back, maybe it's true. Maybe there was some colluding there. You know, I mean, when I talk about Pence working with the Democrats colluding, that's the only kind of colluding that was really going on. There was no colluding with Russia. There was colluding with rhinos and Democrats.
Yeah, it would not surprise me. Judas Pence. And look at that right there. You like that? You see that? I'm so, you know, I'm happy I got that working today. I got Rumble in here and I got YouTube in here. So if y'all leave me Rumble comments and leave YouTube comments, I can put those in here. So please, by all means, you know, I just randomly pick them. But for some reason, Facebook, I had Facebook working, but it's not working right now. But yeah, Judas Pence, I think that he was with them all along. Because, you know, when they brought in Mike Pence, I thought it was a little odd. But they were saying that, you know, Mike Pence, he's a good one for President Trump. The Democrats, I'll never forget it. I wish I had the video. The Democrats during that time were saying that Mike Pence is a good fit for President Trump because he will keep President Trump balanced. He would keep, you know, President Trump kind of like in his lane. They were actually saying that. Now, of course, I'm paraphrasing it, but that's what they were saying. It would keep him in their lane. He was there to keep President Trump in his lane. And I think he stabbed President Trump in the back, you know, with a virtual knife, of course. He stabbed President Trump in the back. Pretty sad, pretty sad. All right, everybody. Hey, we are at the end right now. I'm going to ask y'all if y'all could, go to my website, uniteamericafirst.com. Sign up for that free newsletter, uniteamericafirst.com. Once you go there, you can see at the very top, you can, right there, one of those red tabs, free newsletter. Sign up for it. I don't spam you, so don't expect me to send you emails every single day, 3 and 4 times a day, maybe once a week, right? But I do send out emails, so please sign up for my free newsletter. I'm always constantly talking about it. And what you can see right below that, that's the different shows that I do throughout the week. So by all means, come to uniteamericafirst.com. See right there the shows, put it in your phone, lock it in. And if you would, I would greatly appreciate it if you go to my website while you're there, uniteamericafirst.com/donate. People, if you find it in your heart, sponsor me monthly right there. Anything is appreciative. I appreciate everything. Or if you just want to help me out one time, like, you know what? Well, I'll buy you some lunch. I'll buy you a taco. I greatly appreciate that too. Right there, one time right there. You see the different options. And for those of you that don't want to do the digital interaction, which I completely get, there's my physical address right there, right here in Texas, Pflugerville, Texas. If you ever heard of that, I thought it was kind of weird myself. But Pflugerville, Texas, right there is where I reside. That's my physical address, everybody. So if you want to send me something right there, I've kept every single envelope and letter. I've kept every single one of them. So uniteamericafirst.com/donate, where you see this information. All right, everybody, we are at the end. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just want to remind you one more thing here. givesendgo.com/studio. If you find it in your heart, please go to givesendgo.com/studio. Consider helping me, supporting me with my studio here. My studio equipment is 10 years plus of age. And I'm not looking to get like elaborate stuff. I just want to get like a little switcher and a couple cables, some things like that. So if you find it in your heart, please consider givesendgo.com/studio and supporting me. I would greatly appreciate it. I need your help. I need your help. I'm asking. You know, the Bible tells us you ask not, you receive not. So I'm asking. I'm asking for God's people to help me out. Does that make sense? Is that appropriate? Right? Because I'm asking God to put it on your heart. All right, everybody, that's it for me. See you in 1 hour if you want to come watch me on my other show, The Culture Wars. I'm going to have other stuff there as well. And something about just a little bit about where's Hunter? Hunter